Welcome back to The Clean Truth by Ruby. This is our 31st episode titled Why Your Air Fryer Smells Like Yesterday's Dinner.
Which is such a huge issue. I mean, persistent odors are easily one of the most common complaints among air fryer owners.
Oh, absolutely. You make salmon on Tuesday, and then on Thursday you go to make frozen French fries, and they taste like, well, fish.
Yeah, it completely ruins the meal. And it happens because grease residue, trapped food particles, and just oils build up on internal surfaces.
Right, and they just continue producing those odors long after the cooking is finished.
Exactly. People think, simply washing the basket is enough to eliminate smells. But that odor-causing residue remains hidden in areas that users rarely even inspect.
Which is wild, and those lingering odors absolutely transfer to future meals and affect the whole cooking experience.
Oh, for sure. It really highlights how regular maintenance and deep cleaning help actually eliminate odor sources rather than simply masking them.
Yeah, and that connects perfectly to things like Ruby's air fryer cleaner, the importance of keeping appliances clean beyond just the visible surfaces.
Completely agree. It's about what you don't see.
Exactly. So let's find out what's really causing those stubborn air fryer odors and how to get rid of them for good. Today, we're doing a deep dive into a YouTube video from the channel NOOB's Kitchen.
Right. The video is called How to Deep Clean Your Air Fryer and Not Ruin It.
Yeah, and the mission for today is to give you, the listener, the exact step-by-step method to safely resurrect a filthy air fryer. We're going to eliminate those phantom odors and, most importantly, avoid the single catastrophic mistake that basically permanently destroys the appliance.
Which happens a lot more often than you'd think.
Oh, I bet. I mean, picture your beloved air fryer right now. It looks sleek on the counter. It matches the decor. You wipe down the touchscreen. You run the basket through the dishwasher, and it feels like this ultimate modern convenience.
But treating the air fryer like it's clean just because the outside shines is, well, it's a mistake.
It really is. It's a lot like looking under a pristine, shiny rock in your garden. You flip it over, and suddenly there's this terrifying ecosystem of bugs hiding underneath that totally ruins your appetite.
That is a perfect analogy. Because the front looks great, but the hidden mechanics, doing all the actual work, are accumulating just a terrifying amount of biological buildup.
Yeah, we actively choose not to think about the ceiling of that cooking chamber.
Right. And because we ignore it, it turns into a total nightmare landscape. And if you do finally decide to confront it, and approach it the wrong way, you can easily destroy the entire unit.
Exactly. Which brings us to the YouTube video. This creator actually went on Facebook Marketplace and bought the most disgusting air fryer they could find just to see if it was salvageable.
Oh, wow. So they were actively looking for a biohazard.
Oh, yeah. This thing had survived 2 full years of college dorm use without a single cleaning.
Oh, my gosh. 2 years.
2 years. Mozzarella sticks, chicken wings, leftover pizza, day in, day out for hundreds of cycles.
Well, that is definitely a true stress test for appliance maintenance. But the creator's goal wasn't just to clean it, right?
Right. They wanted to document a really specific method to resurrect it without triggering that fatal flaw that ruins these devices.
So to understand that risk, we really have to look at the anatomy of the problem. We aren't talking about the basket here. The basket is easy.
Yeah, you just toss that in the sink.
Exactly. The real horror show is the coil area. When you pull the basket out and physically flip the main unit upside down, you see the heating element.
Right. It looks like a small electric stove burner just hovering up there at the ceiling.
Which makes perfect sense when you look at the physics of an air fryer.
Yeah.
I mean, the appliance is essentially a high-powered convection wind tunnel.
Okay, a wind tunnel.
Yeah, you have a fan sitting directly above or behind that red-hot heating coil, blasting air down onto the food. But physics is a two-way street.
Oh, meaning the food fights back?
Basically, yeah. As the moisture and the fats in your food heat up and aerosolize, that high-speed air circulation violently throws microscopic droplets of grease directly upward.
Oh, gross.
Yeah, and it splatters continuously against the coil and the metal casing that houses it.
And here is where we hit this massive contradiction. The creator points out a glaring omission in how these machines are sold. Most manufacturers do not include any instructions for cleaning the ceiling area in the manual at all.
None. They just leave it out entirely.
Which is crazy. Why wouldn't they tell you how to clean the dirtiest part of the machine?
Oh, it's a calculated liability trade-off. The heating element sits completely flush against the unit's internal unsealed electronics.
Oh, I see where this is going.
Right. From the manufacturer's perspective, they have to choose between two negative outcomes. They can either give you instructions for cleaning an incredibly sensitive area and risk you taking a soaking wet soapy sponge to the internal wiring.
Which would, what, electrocute you?
Yeah, electrocute you or short-circuit the machine or start a fire. So they weigh that against just letting the appliance slowly accumulate a layer of carbonized grease over its lifespan.
So they would legally and practically prefer you have a filthy, gross appliance over an electrical hazard?
Exactly. They know the average consumer sees grease and instantly reaches for a dripping wet sponge.
Mhm.
But gravity is working against you when you flip the machine upside down.
Because that water just seeps straight down into the unsealed seam.
Yep. The water bridges the electrical connections, and the moment you plug it back in, you just fry the motherboard.
Wow. So the fatal mistake is literally just using a wet sponge. The line between a beautifully clean air fryer and a dead piece of electronics is entirely dictated by moisture control.
100%.
But wait, let me push back on this a bit. So if the manufacturers themselves don't even want us touching this area because it's so incredibly risky, are we basically playing a game of operation with our kitchen appliances just by trying to keep our food sanitary?
It kind of feels like it, honestly. You are effectively diffusing a bomb to eat clean French fries.
That is insane. So how do we actually break through 2 years of baked-on college dorm grease without using liquid? I mean, liquid is what breaks down grease.
Well, we use a different state of matter. The creator initiates the process by putting a small amount of water and a little bit of dish soap directly into the empty basket.
Okay, just in the basket itself.
Right. You slide it in, and you run the air fryer at 400 degrees Fahrenheit for 8 minutes. You are basically creating an internal soapy steam bath.
Okay, wait, hold on. I have to stop you there because the logic isn't tracking for me.
How so?
You literally just established that moisture near the electronics is the fatal flaw that shorts out the machine. So how is filling the basket with soapy water and creating violently boiling steam at 400 degrees safe, but wiping the coil with a wet sponge is a death sentence? I mean, steam is just water, right?
That is a great question. It comes down to the physics of vapor versus liquid droplets, specifically regarding surface tension and volume.
Okay, break that down for me.
When you generate steam inside the closed unit, the water molecules are in a gaseous state. They condense evenly across the cold metal surfaces as this microscopic, uniform layer of heat and moisture.
So it's not like giant drops of water.
Exactly. It's just enough sustained energy to penetrate the lipid layer of the grease and start softening it. But critically, because it's a vapor, it lacks the volume to form large, heavy droplets.
Oh, I see. So it coats the surface without cooling.
Precisely. A wet sponge introduces bulk liquid water pools, and gravity pulls those heavy drops directly into the cracks around the wiring.
Okay, that actually makes a ton of sense. The steam softens the hardened carbon uniformly without ever introducing the sheer volume of water needed to bridge an electrical gap.
Right. It's highly controlled moisture. So once the grease is softened by the steam, the creator enforces the absolute most important safety rule of the entire process.
Which is unplug the unit, I assume.
Yes, unplug the unit. Electrical safety 101, never do anything else while it's connected to the wall.
Right, obviously.
So you let it cool slightly, lay a towel on the counter, and flip the entire appliance upside down. And now, instead of going in with cleaners, the creator takes a completely dry paper towel and just wipes the element and the surrounding area.
A dry paper towel. Why dry?
The dry wipe is fundamentally important to the chemistry of the actual cleaning process. You have to knock off the loose debris first.
Oh, you know what? That reminds me of sweeping a floor before you mop it.
Yes, perfect example.
Like if you have a kitchen floor covered in loose dirt, dust, and crumbs, and you just throw a wet mop directly onto it, you haven't cleaned the floor at all. You've just invented mud.
Exactly. You're just pushing a wet, abrasive sludge around.
Yeah.
And that analogy translates perfectly to the chemical environment inside the air fryer.
Because there's a bunch of loose crumbs and flaky bits up there.
Right. If you introduce a liquid cleaner to all those loose crumbs and highly carbonized, flaky bits of grease, you immediately create a thick, sticky paste out of the debris.
Ugh, it sounds impossible to get out of those little crevices.
It is. You physically have to knock off all the loose, dry material first, so your chemical cleaners can actually access the hard, baked-on layers anchored to the metal beneath.
Okay, so the loose dirt is gone. We are staring at the really stubborn, hardened oil. What's the next step?
This is where the creator introduces the golden rule of the cleaning arsenal. Damp, not wet. If it drips, it's too wet.
Damp, not wet. Got it.
You take a microfiber cloth, dip it in hot water mixed with Dawn dish soap, and you wring it out until your hands physically hurt.
Like squeeze every single possible drop out of it.
Exactly. Then you carefully wipe around the heating coil. You want to focus on the metal housing rather than scrubbing the fragile coil itself too hard.
So what exactly is this step doing? Just getting the top layer off?
Yeah, this step removes the top layer of relatively fresh oil. The Dawn dish soap is basically acting as a heavy-duty surfactant.
Let's actually break down what a surfactant is here, because I think a lot of people hear dish soap and just think of, bubbles.
Right, bubbles don't clean. A surfactant, which is short for surface active agent, is a molecule that essentially acts as a chemical bridge.
A bridge between what?
Between oil and water. See, water molecules normally like to stick to each other. They have high surface tension, which is why water beads up on a greasy pan instead of washing the grease away.
Right, because oil and water naturally repel each other.
Exactly. But a surfactant molecule has two distinct ends. One end loves water, which is the hydrophilic end, and the other end loves oil, the hydrophobic end.
Okay, so it literally grabs the oil with one hand and the water with the other.
Yes, that's a great way to picture it. It breaks the surface tension of the water, allowing it to penetrate the grease. The oil-loving ends bury themselves in the grease, and the water-loving ends point outward.
So it encapsulates the oil.
Exactly. They form these tiny spheres called nacelles. And these spheres lift the oil off the metal, allowing it to be easily scooped up by the microscopic hooks woven into the microfiber cloth.
Wow, okay, but a surfactant and a cloth won't touch the real nightmare stuff, right? I mean, they handle the fresh oil, but what about the 2-year-old baked-on college dorm crust? The stuff that basically looks welded to the ceiling.
Right, the welded-on crust. That requires a much more aggressive, targeted chemical reaction. But remember, you are still fighting gravity and the risk of liquid dripping into the electronics.
So we can't just spray oven cleaner up there.
No, absolutely strictly no oven cleaner, no steel wool, no soaking.
So what's the creator's solution for the really tough stuff then?
It's fascinating, actually. You mix about 2 tablespoons of Barkeeper's Friend with just enough Dawn dish soap to make a thick, sticky, non-runny paste.
A paste, okay, so it won't drip.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You apply this paste directly onto the stubborn buildup using an old toothbrush, and then you just walk away for 5 minutes.
That is so smart, because the synergy of that mixture must be incredible.
It's brilliant. You are combining 2 very different chemical attacks while totally solving the physical problem of gravity.
Because Barkeeper's Friend has oxalic acid, right? And microabrasives.
Yes, the oxalic acid chemically attacks the hard carbon-oxygen bonds of the burned-on food. It aggressively loosens its grip on the metal casing.
Meanwhile, the Dawn in the mixture is doing the surfactant work on whatever underlying lipids are left.
Exactly. And by blending them into a thick paste rather than using water, you create a chemical poultice. You suspend this powerful dual-action reaction upside down exactly where you need it.
Without a single drop of liquid running into the motherboard.
Not one drop.
So after 5 minutes, you come back and what, scrub it off?
Yeah, you scrub gently with the toothbrush. The acid has weakened the bonds, so the microabrasives in the Barkeeper's Friend can do the physical lifting without you having to really scratch the metal.
Which is why the creator is so strict about never using steel wool or oven cleaner.
Exactly. Oven cleaners rely on highly caustic lye to dissolve carbon. That caustic environment can easily strip the protective coatings off the heating element or just completely corrode the surrounding metal and unsealed wiring.
And steel wool is just as bad mechanically, right?
Oh, it's terrible. It shreds the finish, creating these microscopic scratches in the metal. And those tiny gouges just become anchor points where future grease will stubbornly embed itself.
So if you use steel wool, you actually make the machine permanently harder to clean next time.
Exactly. You're creating physical traps for new grease.
Good to know. Okay, so you wipe the paste away thoroughly with a clean, heavily wrung out, damp cloth. You make absolutely sure no soap residue is left behind. Otherwise, I'm assuming your next batch of fries tastes like a bubble bath.
Right. You definitely don't want Dawn-flavored fries.
Yeah, no thanks. And then you use a small hand blower to force out any rogue crumbs hiding behind the coil. You flip the machine right side up, plug it in, and run it empty at 400 degrees for 5 minutes.
The burn-off run. It is totally essential.
Because it vaporizes any microscopic traces of moisture or cleaning agents before your food goes in.
Exactly. It completely resets the chamber.
Okay, so the biohazard has been neutralized. The metal is visually clean. The heavy carbon is gone. But this is where we get to the really tricky part.
The phantom odors.
Right, because if you were to cook your dinner right now, there's a very high chance your food would still taste faintly of yesterday's salmon Or, in this case, a 2-year-old dorm room mozzarella stick. Because visually clean does not mean chemically clean.
It really doesn't. You're dealing with volatile organic compounds, or VOCs. Odor is a completely different beast than visible grease.
So even when the physical brown buildup is completely scrubbed away.
Microscopic layers of aromatic compounds and oils remain deeply embedded in the microscopic pores of the metal and plastic casing.
Wow. So it's essentially trapped flavor.
That's a great way to put it, yeah. Trapped flavor. And when the machine heats up to 400 degrees to cook your next meal, those embedded compounds aerosolize all over again.
They join the convection wind tunnel and transfer that stale Tuesday night fish flavor directly onto your fresh food.
Which is exactly what we were talking about at the start of the deep dive.
So how do we fix the phantom odor? Because I know the creator uses a completely chemical-free fumigation technique for this part.
Yeah, it's super simple but highly effective. You take a small oven-safe bowl, fill it with equal parts water and white vinegar, and add some lemon juice.
Or you can just throw half a lemon directly into the liquid, right?
Yep, it works.
Well,
You set that bowl in the basket and run the air fryer at 350 degrees for 15 minutes.
so we are utilizing thermodynamics again, just like the initial soapy steam bath, but we are delivering a very different chemical payload this time.
Exactly. We're making acidic steam.
Acidic steam. Okay, tell me how that works.
As the water, vinegar, and lemon juice boil, they create a vapor cloud that is completely saturated with acetic acid from the vinegar and citric acid from the lemon.
And those just get blasted everywhere by the fan.
Right. These volatile acids circulate aggressively through the entire convection system, penetrating those microscopic pores in the casing. The chemistry here relies on acid-base neutralization.
Okay, chemistry class time.
Yeah, so the foul odors of stale food, especially those fishy or old meat smells, they're primarily caused by alkaline compounds called amines.
Okay, so the amines are alkaline, meaning they are basic, and we are introducing acidic vapor. So the hot acidic vapor physically collides with the basic alkaline odor molecules.
And it chemically alters them. The acid neutralizes the amines, changing their molecular structure into a salt that basically no longer emits an odor.
That is so cool. You are physically loosening the invisible residue and chemically destroying the odor molecules so your human nose can no longer detect them.
Yep. It completely kills the smell without spraying any artificial fragrances into a chamber that, literally cooks your food.
Which is so important. But here is the pivotal moment in the source material for me. After mapping out this entire labor-intensive Saturday morning project, we've got the steam, the dry wipe, the toothbrushes, the chemical poultice, the fumigation.
That's a lot of work.
It is a massive chore. But then the creator reveals that the ultimate fix for all of this is to just never let it happen again.
Prevention is the true lesson here.
Right. The creator states that this entire deep cleaning process can be completely avoided with a single 30-second habit.
30 seconds.
Yeah. Once you finish cooking your meal, and once the unit cools down enough to be safe to touch without burning your hand, you just take a damp cloth and do one quick wipe across the heating element area.
It sounds almost insultingly simple after the extreme chemistry we just spent the last 10 minutes unpacking.
It really does. But the creator points out that fresh grease wipes off effortlessly. It's still in a semi-liquid state, but grease that has been through 10 or 20 cook cycles at 400 degrees, that's the stuff that requires the heavy artillery.
And this brings us to a really fascinating chemical transformation known as polymerization.
Polymerization, that sounds intense.
It is. It's the exact reason why fresh oil wipes away with a paper towel, but old oil requires oxalic acid and microabrasives.
So what exactly is happening to the oil when it just sits in there week after week?
Well, when cooking oils and animal fats are repeatedly exposed to high heat, the molecules actually break down and structurally reorganize.
Reorganize how?
The long fatty acid chains begin to cross-link with one another, forming this really dense, complex matrix. The liquid oil undergoes a chemical reaction that literally turns it into a hard, plastic-like polymer.
Wait, really? Like actual plastic?
Chemically speaking, yes. It is a completely different substance than the oil that originally splattered up there.
Wow. So that impossible dark brown shell you see on old baking sheets or the ceiling of the air fryer, it's not just dried oil. It has chemically turned into plastic.
Exactly. And once it polymerizes, standard soap and water are totally useless against it.
Yeah.
And worse, every time you run the air fryer, you are baking it harder.
Because each heat cycle adds another layer of splattered oil and then polymerizes the existing layers beneath it.
Right. It cures it, basically, like a resin.
So by wiping it just 30 seconds after you cook, once it cools, Obviously, you are intercepting the oil before it ever has a chance to cross-link. You are stopping the polymerization cycle entirely.
You're removing the raw material before the heat can transform it into plastic.
The science makes perfect sense. But, I mean, we have to look at the behavioral psychology of the average person making dinner on a Tuesday night here.
Oh, for sure. Human nature plays a big role.
Right. You make the food, you eat the food, you're full, you're tired. The entire value proposition of the air fryer is convenience. It's the set it and forget it appliance.
Yeah, nobody wants to do maintenance after dinner.
Exactly. Are people realistically going to sit around waiting 20 minutes for a heating coil to reach room temperature just so they can perform preventative maintenance on the ceiling of a kitchen appliance every single night?
It's a fundamental question of how we view appliance ownership,
Yeah.
really. The creator frames it as an unavoidable maintenance debt.
A maintenance debt. I like that phrasing.
Yeah, because the convenience of the appliance is actually somewhat of an illusion. That debt has to be paid eventually.
So you can either pay it in 30-second daily micro installments while the oil is still liquid.
Or you can let the debt compound with interest. And when it compounds, you pay it in a massive high-stress lump sum once a year, scrubbing polymerized plastic with a toothbrush while trying desperately not to electrocute yourself.
Wow. Put like that, the 30-second daily tax on convenience sounds a lot better. Knowing the mechanism, understanding that ignoring it allows the grease to literally forge itself into plastic makes that daily wipe down sound significantly more appealing.
It really does. Knowledge is power.
It is. So if we weave all of this together, what is the actual takeaway for someone staring at their kitchen counter right now?
Well, if you've let the maintenance debt compound, you now know how to safely dismantle years of built-up grease.
Right. You soften the blow with the ambient vapor of a soapy steam cycle. You unplug the machine, always unplug it, and dry wipe the area to sweep the loose carbon before you mop.
And you manage your moisture religiously, damp, not wet, using a surfactant like Dawn to lift the surface oil.
And then for the hardened, cross-linked plastic polymers, you suspend a poultice of Barkeeper's Friend and Dawn upside down, letting the oxalic acid break the carbon bonds.
Yep. And finally, you fumigate the invisible aromatic compounds by neutralizing those alkaline amines with acidic lemon and vinegar steam.
It's incredible. You're restoring the machine not just visually, but chemically, all while navigating the manufacturer's unstated liability trap.
Which is a huge victory for the average consumer.
Definitely. I mean, your beautifully seasoned, perfectly crispy food is only as good as the cleanliness of the hidden, grease-splattered elements cooking it.
Exactly. The air fryer is a marvel of convection physics, but out of sight cannot mean out of mind when it comes to heat, airflow, and aerosolized fats.
Which leaves us with one final, slightly unnerving thought for everyone to chew on today.
Yeah.
We just spent all this time pulling back the curtain on the air fryer, the ultimate modern, convenient appliance. And we found that it requires this secret, off-book, highly specific maintenance routine just to prevent it from becoming a polymerized biological hazard.
It really makes you wonder.
It does. If flipping over the pristine air fryer reveals this hidden ecosystem dictated by thermodynamics and acid-base chemistry, what other convenient smart gadgets in our kitchens are secretly hoarding years of biological buildup just out of sight?
Oh man, I don't even want to know.
Right, like what is structurally hiding in the internal heated tubes of that expensive coffee maker you run water through every single morning?
Yeah.
Or deep inside the crumb tray mechanisms and heating coils of your toaster oven? We might just be living in a kitchen full of shiny, smooth rocks, entirely surrounded by unseen ecosystems we just blindly trust.
That is terrifying.
It is. So keep that in mind the next time you hit start.